morning and welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, here on Wednesday, as you know, weekly, it is Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Moyne College Dolphins. So we are here inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', and in just a moment, I'll be joined picture in picture with the Moyne Dolphins women's golf team, coming off of some successes here very recently, and excited to speak with Riley Stuver as well as Mia Avotins here from the Heights in Syracuse, New York at Moyne College. And then in the second portion of hour number one, you'll hear from Duke Pettijohn, the Syracuse Orange football alum, who will be speaking with me on the season to start so far in 2024, as well as his thoughts on the Fran Brown era. And in hour number two, in its own video, we'll continue on with fantasy football, giving you advice on every single game that is happening here in week 2 in the NFL. So a lot of great stuff coming up. We appreciate you tuning in on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com worldwide. And of course, once the shows go live, you could find them in so many different areas: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. So with that being said, before I bring on Riley and Mia, I do want to take, and hence why I'm wearing the red, white, and blue here and that shield, not just a fan of Marvel, but more than anything, a fan of this country. So I want to take a moment of silence, as today is September 11th, and we promised we wouldn't forget, but some of us have. And I send that prayer up to God that all the families that lost somebody that day are at peace today and always, and that we learn and move forward together better than we were before. With that being said, I'm happy to welcome in our Dolphins picture in picture, Riley Stuver once again, and Mia Avotins here from the Moyne women's golf team. Ladies, how are we?
Awesome.
Good. How are you?
Doing very well. So congratulations, first and foremost, on, like I was talking to you about off the air, some recent success here to begin the season. And Riley, I'll start with you. What were your best takeaways from a day that was special, not just for you both, but for the team?
I mean, when you're out there, you don't really know how everyone else is doing on your team. So you're kind of just playing your game the best that you can. And when we finished, we kind of all were like, hey, we played pretty well. And I was like, this might be one of the lowest that I know that as I've been part of the team, it was one of the lowest that I've ever been a part of. So we immediately reached out to the athletic department and wondered if we made a new record, and we found out that we tied it, and it was great. So being one of our first tournaments back and being able to be with the team, we were able to play well. So
yeah, and Riley, like you said, the record wise to tie something, share that with everybody, what that memorable moment was.
yeah, so the record, I think, in 2015 in a tournament was 316. That was the record for four golfers, 18 holes. So we tied that this past weekend at Bucknell when we were playing our first day, our first round. So we came out strong, and it was great.
And Mia, for you, just what you could say your reaction has been to see this early success for the team, to see a moment in time where you get to live in the history of having a program best, and just what that's been like and what it does for you and your teammates to come off of the Bucknell University Invitational, having a moment that will live on in history, but you get to live it right now.
It's awesome because I don't think everybody knew what big of a deal it was until after it happened. So it was cool. And I think we all had a lot of shots we could have even improved on. So I think it's even more exciting knowing that we could probably go a lot lower than what we did too. But it was nice to have, it's really rare everybody just kind of ties it all in on the same time and the same day. So that was really exciting for all of us.
Why did you choose me? I'll stay with you on this. Why did you choose Lemoyne? I know that you're coming from local Liverpool, and I do a show with the Warriors at Avotins every single month. So yeah, so I got a lot of respect for the Warriors out there in the community. Why stay here in Central New York, and why ultimately Lemoyne?
At first it was because my sister had committed. I have a twin sister. She committed for our freshman year. She only stayed for 1 year, but she was the main reason why I did. And then every one of our friends, everybody I knew was going away, and I felt like my time at Syracuse wasn't necessarily over. I didn't really want to leave. I didn't feel peace about leaving, so I decided to stay close to home and commute, and it's been awesome.
For you, Riley, your story. Why for you was Lemoyne the right place, the right fit? Why did it make sense for you to have this part of your life be spent here? Because when we look back on you, Webster, New York, obviously not too far away, but another New Yorker. Why Lemoyne for you?
Well, to start, I told my parents, my family, I was like, I'm gonna go far away. Like I want to branch out. I want to I want to do something new. And I went and visited a few schools, some in Ohio, some a little bit farther down south. And after doing a road trip, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. So on the way back up, actually, we stopped at Lemoyne from looking at some other schools, and I was like I don't know. I went on a tour here, and it was more about just I walked around, and the community that I felt was how I felt like I was going to belong here, and I could see myself here. And once I talked to coach and assistant coach, I was like, yeah, I can see myself here, and that was one of the biggest things is why I came here. And I
Yeah.
don't regret it either. It was awesome.
Mia, for you, do you talk to your twin sister and say, "Hey, you made a terrible mistake"?
She went to Charis Bible College in Colorado,
Yeah.
so she fully, I mean, she went head on. She's never left Syracuse either, but I definitely sometimes I do tell her, I'm like, you should have stayed. This team is awesome. Everybody on our team, we're really close, so I think it's just grown from my freshman year like tremendously.
And when you think about golf, unfortunately, Central New York doesn't get a lot of respect that it deserves, right? When we talk about the weather and, these other teams that are playing year round in beautiful scenarios. You see golf courses out in Arizona, you see things down in Florida. What should we know about the grit of this team? Riley, I'm going to start with you. The grit of this team and the challenge that you feel like you have faced positively to be an upstate New York golfer.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go down south was like I can golf all year round. And um, once I came here, the to be able to kind of have an off season, but still connect with all my friends and still be able to golf with them. I mean, we just got a simulator on campus that is going to be up and running soon, and we can use that all winter long. We have access to that putting green, chipping, just a place for us to hang out as well. So having an off season, but still be able to go and use that simulator with our teammates whenever we want to and have access to that, it's amazing.
Yeah, and Mia, you just heard Riley bring it up. Bob Beretta, when he was at Lemoyne, he was talking to me about this well before it happened. He said, "Listen, there's a golf simulator that's going to be coming in. I wrote a story about it. Then I spoke with your head coach about it and kind of what the plan was and where it was going to go and how there was going to be a reimagining of a racquetball court and whatnot." What are your thoughts on having it on campus?
I'm so excited. I can't wait to just have a place that's so close to campus that we could just walk to because our home course is like 15, 20 minutes away. It's a bit of a hike to drive up there, and I already live off campus, so it's going to be nice to in between classes just go in there, even if it's not to necessarily practice, but see other teammates, like learn a lot from everybody else. I'm really excited about that part.
Yeah, and for you both, simulator wise, if you had to pick, and you can't pick each other and you can't pick yourself, Mia, who's going to be the best at the simulator? on the team right now?
Um, uh, probably one of my teammates, probably Gianna, because she probably spent a lot of time in there doing like she won't be doing homework, so I know she'll be fighting or something. So probably her.
Okay, Gianna. Riley, I'm going to ask you conversely here. Who do you think will be the first one to get frustrated, yell, and put their club down in that simulator?
I think it's a very quick answer. It's definitely Liv. She's a freshman this year. She definitely has a mind of her own. We love her, but she
Okay.
definitely will get a little frustrated at times. And she loves being around the team, but I think she'll get a little
She gets
frustrated.
too excited.
We
Fair,
love her.
fair enough. So, to each other, tell me something good. Riley, tell me something good about Mia.
She's always up spirit. She's awesome. When I first actually came to Lemoyne, I was like, oh my gosh, she has to be terrifying. Like she's so good at golf. Like there's no way that this girl is gonna like be my friend. And I think we just really connected and we've been by each other's side. We tell each other everything. We bring this team together, and that's what is the most important thing.
Mia, back to Riley. Something good?
She has to be like one of the best team captains any team could ever have. She does everything for everybody. And she's insanely smart. She knows everything. Like anything that's going on at Lemoyne, and the second you ask her, she had already heard about it 2 weeks ago. She's just on top of everything, and she has a really good head on her shoulders.
So, a lot of positivity here. I'm going to ask you to say something positive about a gentleman that I've known for a while, and that's Joe Tesori, your head coach. So, Mia, I'm going to start with you. And something positive, but also kind of with this, how you just really in general, how would you describe if someone had never met Joe Tesori before and you were giving a tour of Lemoyne, Mia, and you went into his office, but you had to tell people down the hallway as you walked through who he was before you got to the door? What would you say?
I would say that he is definitely a man of stories. He's got millions of stories, and I think it really shapes and builds him as a person.
Yeah.
He is one of the most understanding people as well. He never judges. He doesn't say anything but the truth and wisdom. I think he's genuinely the best part of Lemoyne as a whole. He represents the college amazingly. Every time I mention him, everybody just loves him. Everybody knows him. He's like a celebrity around here. It's really cool. But yeah, there's nothing bad to say about him. He's amazing. Best coach. He taught us a lot with few, even like a sentence he'll say. It's like 50, 50 years of wisdom just in that little bit. So he's amazing.
I love that. He's like a celebrity here. All right, Riley, what would you say about Coach?
I think Mia touched on it, but the word she used was wisdom. I think that Coach has so much wisdom to give us, and he has definitely impacted my life and Mia's as well. And the wisdom that he gives us, it helps us grow as a team and grow individually as well. And he always puts a smile on his face. Like he's always there for us, a shoulder to lean on. He's awesome. You can always call him. He'll always pick up the phone. He'll always talk to you for as long as you want to talk. So it's great.
Yeah, a lot of positives here and a lot of things about Lemoyne that I fell in love with in starting this partnership is the fact that you feel like people care about people, which is something that we need to see more of in this world, in this country, for sure. I was like, when I walk up and down Lemoyne campus, and normally someone's like, hey, how you doing? You know, total stranger, just kind of saying hello. So Riley, for you, why golf? Why did you fall in love with this sport? It can be, and I will preface this by saying my father loves golf. My dad would wake me up as a kid, 10 years old, 11, 14 years old, and 5, 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, right? After school, you're tired. You just had a long week. You want to sleep in. You want to hang out. There's fog on the golf course. And he's like, get up and let's go. And I was like, why? And you know what I mean? And it's a frustrating sport sometimes because you sometimes have a great day, and other times you're looking at the hole going, I might as well just drive the ball up here and see what I can do. So why did you choose this specific sport, which is extremely skilled and just so very difficult to play? There's nothing to compare it to. Why did you choose golf?
Yeah, so I actually joined the golf team in high school in freshman year. So I ran cross country in middle school, and my brother ran Division 1 cross country and track, and I was like, I'm gonna follow in his footsteps. Realized that running was not a sport for me, and a walking sport would be a lot better. So I played softball my whole life, and I kind of just always stuck around golf. And I kind of have a similar story. I would get up with my dad before school or over the summer before he had to go to work, and I would play golf with him, and it bonded us together. And it's just a more relaxing. Like I can be at peace of mind on the golf course and know that like I'm doing this and I have fun doing it, and it's just a fun sport that I think is something that you can play your whole life, and why not play it now and go to school and get an education as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Mia, for you, do you have any frustrating early morning fog stories, and why did
Oh
you
my goodness.
why did you choose to play golf?
Oh yeah. My dad was like the crazy dad type. He like forced me and my sister into it when we were 5 years old because he was a professional hockey player. So he's like, I know what it takes to be professional. So he, from a really early age, he kind of like really forced us into it. But he always, every single time I wanted to quit, he never let us quit because he was like, you're gonna regret it if you end up quitting, and I wouldn't want you to have that type of regret. And he was completely right. I think that transition from hating it to loving it happened in high school. Being on a team really made a difference to me because it was always something that I had a lot of pressure on myself for. And then when I was on the team, it was like all these other girls play the same sport. It was like a really connecting point, I guess. I really like the relationships it has to do with. I think everybody who plays it has like a common ground and they all understand one another. And I love the sports, just like the rules, like how it's about integrity. It's just it represents life in the perfect way, and it's like the ultimate chase. You can't ever reach like a perfect point, and I think that's like the best part about it.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, the ultimate chase. Do you have a moment in your career so far, Mia? And maybe it's Bucknell recently, maybe it's another time, but do you have a moment in your career in this chase that you've called it that you feel like is one of those monumental, I'm never going to forget that?
Yeah, I would say we had a tournament last semester. Was in in North Carolina, I believe. And it just felt like the easiest thing in the world to do to shoot well, and it's never felt like that before. And I really, it brought me back to how simple it should be and how coach always says that it's the simplest sport played by the most complicated people. And I really believe in that. So I think that was like a monumental understanding that I got of the game, that it doesn't have to do with anything but the way you react to how you play and the different types of circumstances you're in while you're playing.
Yeah, it's interesting. The simplest sport played by the most difficult people. That's unique, Joe Tesori, as always.
Yeah, that's so.
He says that all the time.
He says it multiple times a day.
But so Riley, for you, do you have a moment in this chase that sticks out to you?
I would say more recently, I would say that with the jump to going to Division 1, it kind of set me back mentally, and it represented my scores as well from all last year and last semester as well. And the chase, it never ended for me. I continued to fight and continue pushing towards it, and the progression and progress has been seen. So like that is really important to me. Is that like even though the chase like it might not go as good, you keep fighting and you love the game. So
I love it. Well, we're going to jump into something called rapid fire, and that gives us an opportunity to put each other on the hot seat. I don't know any other broadcaster on the planet that puts themselves on the hot seat, but for some reason I enjoy doing this. So, Riley, you can ask me any question in the world. It can be golf related, it could be literally any topic. You get to go first. What is your question?
All right, I'll start golf because why not?
Okay.
What's your favorite course to play up here in Syracuse or like in the Syracuse area, Rochester, Binghamton area?
Boy. So, I guess two come to mind, and they're two for unique reasons. I'm gonna say Tuscarora because that's where I get to play in the Moyne tournament, and I get to play that with my dad and friends of the family, Mike and Pat. And then I would say Hickory Hill, which I know is like, par fours, par threes or whatever. But that was the first course that I played with my dad, just me and my dad, in a really, really long time. And there was a time due to some back stuff with my dad and that was affecting like his back and his legs that he didn't know if he was ever going to be able to golf again. And we went through a long period of time where I, as a kid, was like, didn't really like to golf. And then I'm growing up and then I'm going, oh, I kind of would like to golf with my dad. And I didn't appreciate it when I had it. So the fact that we got to go on the golf course recently and the fact that he wants to go out again and he's like, when are we going to go out and this and that? I'm going to pick that course because it gave me an opportunity to just be with my dad and to go back to those days that I didn't appreciate and actually get to appreciate this one. So I would say that. All right, Riley, my question back to you. I'm going away from golf. We're going to food. So this is a okay.
She's the ultimate. She's never tried a strawberry before last year.
Okay, Mia.
She's never had a strawberry?
It was freshman year. We were in Pinehurst and we had an Airbnb. We were all staying together. We went grocery shopping in the morning. They were like, Riley, you want a strawberry? I was like, I've never had a strawberry before.
She's like the pickiest eater, but
And then-
we're transitioning her out of that.
Yes, everyone knows that. And by the end of the tournament, I think every single person in the tournament knew that I didn't try a strawberry until that week. So
But you were in Pinehurst, North Carolina, right?
yes.
So here's a cool thing, speaking of food. Brooklyn Pickle, that everybody knows up here, they now have a Brooklyn Pickle right by Pinehurst Golf Course.
Yes.
No way.
In Southern Pines, 1788 Old Morganton Road. So when you go down to Pinehurst, you can actually go like maybe 9 minutes and you can eat a Brooklyn Pickle sandwich while you're down in North Carolina.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Which is
We're
really
gonna
cool. So my question for you, Riley, is two parts. What is the one food you can't live without? And what is the one food that you will never, ever try, no matter how much Mia asks you to?
Oh boy. Okay, so the definite answer for not trying is sushi. I'm not a big seafood person. I never will be.
Okay.
So that's something that I just won't ever try. And
You're missing out.
yeah, I guess so. Even over the summer, my dad was going to give me $100 to eat a piece of fish, and I could not do it. Could not get myself to do it. So definitely seafood, sushi. But food that I can't live without, easy pasta. It's the definite. I eat pasta
Every day.
all the time.
Three
So,
times a day.
whenever we go out to a restaurant or anything, I always have to make sure that there's pasta on the menu.
On the menu. Fair enough. So, I mean, the kids' spaghetti and meatballs is pretty much at every place, no matter where you go. All right. All right. Mia, what's your question for me?
If you were 21 and you knew what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, boy. I was 21 again.
And you could give like one piece of advice for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
What would it be?
I would... There's just so many things I'd want to say to myself, but probably the biggest thing that I would say to myself is other people's opinions of you are none of your business. I would say you spend so much time trying to prove yourself and please the world, and you're always trying to be everybody's friends because you feel like everyone should be nice to each other. And what you're going to realize in life is you could do everything right. You could say everything right. You can love people and help people, and you will still have haters. You will still have negativity. You will still have jealousy, and you're never going to be able to please everyone. So I would tell 21-year-old me, stop caring about the people that said no to a date. Stop caring about the people that didn't want to be your friend. Stop caring about the jobs you didn't get, and focus on the people that love you, the people that want to be there, and live the life that you know that you're living, which is a life that you could put your head on the pillow and sleep, and just focus on being good to God and being good to other people, and never, ever lose your footing when the world treats you poorly when you treat it well.
That's really good. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's what I would say. All right, Mia, my question back to you. Let's stay in the deep. That was a deep question. We're going to stay in a deep question here, Mia. I can't wait for this one. So, we have a presidential election in November.
Yeah.
I am very sad for this country again. So, my question to you is, if you were running for president in November 2024, who would be your vice president? You have to pick a teammate. So, who would be your vice president, and what is the campaign slogan for Mia Avotins?
That's a pretty easy one. My vice president would be Riley. She's literally my right-hand woman. She would be right there. Our slogan would be, that's a hard one. It'd probably have to do with ice cream though. Like more ice cream, less fighting or something.
Using up the U.S. or something.
Something, I don't know, or just Jesus first. I don't know, because I think this country lost really what we're built on. So once we go back to the root of all things, I think things would be fixed.
One of the greatest things ever said. Cut that, and that's a clip right there. Jesus first, and truly good to hear and nice to hear. And also, at the same time, in a funny way, it was that you picked ice cream before you said Jesus.
I was thinking about Riley. We're ice cream connoisseurs. Every time we go on a trip, we gotta stop.
We had ice cream last night.
We made Coach always stop, and he loves Riley, so he always says yes to ice cream.
Fair enough. I like it. All right, we're going one more round before we finish up here in this edition of the Dolphin Dive. Mia, what's your question?
If you could only live in one state for your whole life and not leave it, what state would it be?
Oh, boy. Well, the state of New York has made a tremendous amount of mistakes lately, including the fact that they think we don't need a highway. So I am very, if you listen to the Annoying Moment of the Week, which airs every Friday on the show at 9 a.m., you can listen to my thoughts on I-81 being dismantled. But yeah, I mean, this state has done a lot of things that has made me sad, and it's made me question what common sense is to some people. But at the same time, it's my state, and I don't think that I could live anywhere else because my heart wants to see it do better. I have said this. I think people maybe thought I was joking in the beginning, but maybe they don't now, is that I would run for something. I said I could run just sheerly on the anti-dismantling 81 project and win. I could run on maybe criminals should actually go to jail and win. So I think New York State, seeing my dad fight for 44 years as a prosecutor and have him tell me in his last 2.5 years that he couldn't arrest anybody, he couldn't put criminals in jail because of the laws that have been set forth in New York to not punish crime. I think that I'd have to be in this state and fight for this state as I'm doing right now. And, I'm not just a broadcaster, is what I'll say. And there's a lot of change that I want to see. And I want to bring people together. I think I can make people laugh. I think that opens the conversation.
Yep.
And Jesus first is the only way that I live my life. So I believe that the people of upstate New York need to not be swallowed up and overshadowed by the people of Long Island. And I have no disrespect for those people. We just think very differently.
Yeah.
And I think that upstate New York needs more representation. I think that we need to fairly be able to make decisions for ourselves separate from an island that is way out of touch with us.
Mhm.
And I would like to be a part of that.
Good answer.
Thank you. My question back to you, Mia. What is your favorite ice cream flavor? And if you could create a flavor of ice cream based on a food you eat, what would you make?
Does the food have to be savory?
No, could be anything.
Okay. My favorite ice cream flavor is cotton candy. I love cotton candy, but it has to be the good kind. There's like two different kinds of cotton candies. All people who like cotton candy will know that. And it has to be like the good flavor, the authentic one. And I would make, what flavor would I make? That's a tough question. I would probably make some sort of bubble gum mixed with cotton candy, mixed with confetti,
With some
with
cake.
fruity pebbles, cake. Yeah, just the ultimate. Pack everything in there.
So I'm going to say this now, and the people that know me are going to know this and probably knew it before I said it because of what you said, and we're probably saying something at their screen. I have fought for the rights of cotton candy ice cream my whole life.
Really? It's really elite. Anyone who eats it, they're the like elite people. I know.
Yeah.
And use a little chocolate, but.
And on top of that, I have also fought for the respect and recently have had, I think the last time I went to an ice cream place, I had bubblegum ice cream.
Really?
Yes.
Me too. So good.
So I'm just going to say, and Fruity Pebbles is one of the best cereals ever. So Mia, I don't know what type of spirit animal we're both connected to, but thank God on, what is it, September 11th, 2024 at 9:35 a.m. Eastern time, that I have been vindicated in cotton candy ice cream, bubblegum ice cream, and the respect of Fruity Pebbles. Mia, you both have been awesome today and a treasure to Lemoyne and to this community. But Riley, you have some big shoes to fill as Mia has finally vindicated me.
Yeah.
So Riley, what is your question for me?
If you could interview anyone on your podcast, or it could be an issue too, but a person, who would you want it to be and why?
It's a really good question.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I would sit down and actually, and so the funny thing is, some people pay attention to what's in the studio. So right off my shoulder is this, and it says on the back, I don't know if you can, I am the way, the truth, and the life is on the back. So I keep this over my shoulder as a reminder of what I'm supposed to do. And I think that turning a microphone on it's a huge responsibility. And I don't think that, I can tell people this, totally non-political of parties, that when people tell you that the media lies to you, I can promise you that that is true. I can promise you that I have seen it. I can promise you that I am appalled by it. I'm saddened by it. I never thought that being an honest person in the media that I was going to be a minority. But I am. So I would sit down with Jesus Christ and I would just ask him everything and just really want to know if I'm doing a good job, what I can do to be better, how I can get to heaven, how I can help people. And then I would ask him a funny question, which is, if God created everything with a reason and a purpose, please tell me what the reason and purpose is for a mosquito, is what I would say.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I know spiders eat mosquitoes, so that's their purpose.
Which is exactly what I say. You have to have mosquitoes because spiders eat them. But what does a mosquito do besides bite you, take blood, and cause disease? There's nothing that they do that is giving to the world. I just want God, when my life is done, I want God to look at me and smirk and go, you know what, Daniel? That's one I don't have an answer for. That's all I want. That's all
to deal with our irritation.
Yeah.
To help with irritation, probably.
Yeah. To help us strive through adversity. So,
yeah, exactly.
and to teach us self-control to not itch. So, all right, Riley. Good question. All right, Riley, let's see here. You got the final one of the day. So, we asked you about food. All right, Riley. If you could change anything about the state of New York right now, could be sports, could be nature, could be protecting a highway. Wink, Riley, wink. So what is something that you would change in New York State right now if you could?
I would say it's not something like more physical, but it definitely makes an impact, is bringing people together. If everyone held the door for one another, like simple acts of saying hi to one another, even if you don't know them, it could completely change someone's mental health. It could completely lift up their day. Just simple acts of kindness. If everyone in the state of New York would do a simple act of kindness, I mean, even like with everything with politics going on and everything, put those all aside, if you could just do a simple act of kindness, it would change the state of New York a lot and bring everyone together.
Well, if either one of you ever decide to do anything in this world, you have my support from today. I am more, we started talking about golf. We ended talking about really important big life things. And for Riley Stuver and Mia Avotins, I am grateful that you chose to stay in New York. I'm grateful that you chose to do this interview this morning. And I hope that today, more than anything else, the words that you've given will help people to have a faith, get a little closer to God, and to hold a door open for somebody else. So golf is great. You've done a fantastic job, but the people behind the music, so to speak, is why I do what I do. And Riley and Mia, you are playing a fantastic song behind the music. So thank you for what you're doing in the community. Thank you for your positivity and your faith and your laughs. Mia, thank you for allowing me to finally be free of judgment in my ice cream. And Riley,
never judgment. You only gain my respect.
And Riley, the next time somebody offers you $100 to eat food that is cooked properly, please just consider taking a free $100, okay?
I will. I definitely will.
All right. With that being said, for Riley and Mia and for Moyne Women's Golf, thank you so much for today. Congratulations on everything you did at Bucknell, and for more records to come. I look forward to you having a great day, and I'll talk with you soon.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Have
a good day.
See you later. That coming from Mia and Riley once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Well, if you didn't wake up positive today, I'd challenge you that you're not right now. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll get ready with Duke Pettijohn, who's going to be joining me here where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in just a moment after this fast break. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Coming off of a fantastic conversation with two wonderful women in our community, student athletes at Moyne College and on the women's golf team for the Dolphins, that being Miss Riley Stuver and Mia Avotins, and natives of the state of New York, which is very cool as well, with Mia coming from the Liverpool area and Riley coming from Webster. Duke Pettijohn is going to be joining me here in a second, picture in picture, so just waiting to have his picture show up here so that we can get you set and ready to go. As Duke and I are going to talk about some Syracuse football and what's going on in the world of the Orange. So we have Duke that's going to be joining us here picture in picture, and I believe we have him here to bring him in onto Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And always good to have Duke on the broadcast here with us. So, and Syracuse 2-0 to start off their season currently. And Duke is here. So, Duke, how are you?
I'm well, man. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. And I know you said this to me off the air, but I wanted to find like your headshot from back in the day, and and finding that headshot, and then finding the headshot now that looks like you're an actor. So we got like the team one, and then we got like your Hollywood, headshot thing here. So. What do you think about this side by side? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it looked like it dated me a little bit.
Oh, come on now. I think that you've aged well, Mr. Pettijohn. I think that you look good. Wait, what would you say to? And this is a question that I'm kind of stealing from the conversation we just had here, but what would you say to if you could go back in time and talk to you when you were in college at Syracuse, right now with everything you've known, every piece of knowledge and wisdom you've gained, what would you say to Duke Pettijohn in college?
Focus. Focus on the main thing. Eliminate all distractions. And just lean in just a little bit more, because I see what separate. That's the big separator: the discipline and the focus. on your on the main thing, which is school and football. You know, yep, that's definitely what I would say.
Focus on the main thing. Well, before we jump into Syracuse, your son has had a fantastic kind of story, early story here in the world
Mhm.
of his life and his future. For when we're talking about Riley, what can you say about Riley Pettijohn and just what you can what his journey has been like to watch? Because you had your own
Uh-huh.
recruitment, you had your own process, but he has
Mhm.
had such a busy and I'm sure rewarding and exciting process through everything. What's it been like to watch him go through it?
Oh man, it's been amazing, man. Just with what you said, having my own process and going through the recruitment and everything, and seeing the difference in recruiting, with social media and everything, taking it to a whole uh, another level that I think is great for the kid, but could ultimately be a big distraction too. And I'm proud in how he's handled all of it. He's done the things that you ask what I would say to my younger self. He's done. He's my younger self. My kids are my younger self, and passing along all the knowledge of my journey, and
Yeah.
mistakes I've made, and the good things, and the approach to football and school. He has taken it and run with it, and has excelled in every part of it. But outside of all of that, man, he is a great kid. Like, I mean, just couldn't ask for a better son, a better example for his younger cousin, and I'm just super proud of him, man, and it's been a fun experience.
Yeah, and like you said, and I thought about this when I was asking it to you, of you talking to your younger self, but you also getting to see, through your son, what
Mhm.
this would be like to kind of take two, so to speak. And
Right.
so for him to, I mean, we're talking about Riley, you and I and Riley had a conversation a while back, and
Mhm.
he was already getting a bunch of great opportunities in his
Mhm.
recruitment, but then it just continued to
Yeah.
flow and to grow and to blossom, and it just kept going and kept going, and all over the
Mhm.
country, how he's been regarded at the linebacker position, and just
Yeah.
what he's done, and then to say, hey, this little old school called Ohio State, I guess I'm gonna call home. I mean, bring me into that process, and then selfishly to the Syracuse fans out there, were you trying to get a last late surge and go, son, I feel like you'd look good in a different, not so much red, but maybe an almost red, like a little orange. So,
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. I mean, he was offers from some really like just unbelievable institutions and like football schools, and we were just ultimately we were just guiding him through it. Not I'm not trying to influence him at all, because at the end of the day, he has to be wherever he's gonna be, not us. So that was the biggest part. um just but also giving him my insight on what to look for, the feel, what not to, don't get caught up in all the glitz and glamour and NIL stuff. We didn't, that was all on the back burner. We were just looking at what's the best place for him,
yeah.
uh and seeing if our observations, aligned. And when they did, he narrowed it down, and ultimately the final decision came down to him. because we were good with the 4 schools that he was going to choose from. Um, we didn't know until probably like the day before. Well, I knew the week of, but I always knew, where he was. I always had a pretty good gauge on where he was, feeling, but didn't want to say anything. But as far as Syracuse, yeah, I always, I just asked him always to consider it. I have a good friend at, SMU, the same thing.
Yeah.
And he was a good family friend. And, we just asked him to consider it, with, all that he's looking for. But, he didn't want to go too far, and just kind of early in our, rebranding. So, all of that went into that. But, I have 2 nephews who are on the rise as well, and, may have an opportunity there. Last at Pettijohn's too. So
yeah.
You never know what the future holds.
It says on one of your profiles, Orange Man, NFL and AFL alum, and it also says pickleballer. So
Yeah.
I have to ask you, Mr. Pettijohn, how did you get into pickleball and the craze that exists? And if you had to rate yourself as a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5-star pickleballer, where do I put you?
Okay, so I got into pickleball. It was probably 2 years now, and I was playing basketball. I went to play basketball in the gym at the time. The lifetime I was going to, they actually converted 4 courts to pickleball courts.
Okay.
And that particular day, I was like, the kids were like arguing, and I'm like, let me see what this pickleball is like. So I went over there and started playing, and was getting beat by a 70-year-old, getting beat by a 9-year-old, but had my good, good shots here and there, and then I was like, I can do this, and then just the competitor in me, wanted to get better, and it's a super fun game, man, and I just been hooked ever since. And my rating, I would give me, I'm decent. Well, I actually have a a duper rating that they give you.
Okay.
So my duper rating is 3.44. So I'm right there. I'm right there in the middle. But
Right.
playing with really good people, you realize, okay, yeah, I'm really not that good. I'm realistic about it. There are definitely levels, and I'm not at that point.
Hey, listen, it's getting people out, get America healthy again, right? Like that.
Right.
That's an
Yeah,
important
all
thing.
for it.
That's an important thing to do. I'm here with Duke Pettijohn, the Syracuse Orange alum, speaking on many different topics. But Syracuse has started, your alma mater has started 2-0. I'm going to preface this conversation with something that I said on why Syracuse should be in the top 25 to start off this week here in week 3. They're not, but why I thought it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So when Syracuse defeated a MAC team, some people said, it's the MAC, it's not the SEC, it's not the Big Ten, who cares? My response, Ohio is a back-to-back 10-win season team. They beat the Ohio Bobcats of the MAC by 16 points at home. Penn State played a MAC team in Bowling Green and barely beat them, getting out alive 34-27 by 1 score. Then there was a team that was ranked, and by the way, Penn State was ranked in the top 10. And on top of that, there was a team ranked number 5 overall in the country, Notre Dame, who played a MAC team in Northern Illinois and lost at home in South Bend 16-14 to a team that maybe came in ranked 81 in the country. So looking at that first win by Syracuse and then looking at the win over Georgia Tech, where Syracuse is playing a Brent Key team that did some good things last year. They've had a lot of early success under Brent Key. They have a lot of talent with Haynes King and Jamal Haynes as a 1-2 punch on offense. They were able to take it to Florida State and make a statement in week 0. So to me, Syracuse, as well as with a Kansas team that was ranked losing, that was number 19th in the country, with an Iowa team that lost to Iowa State, who was ranked number 21 in the country. Georgia Tech was number 23, losing to Syracuse. So with all of those things happening and a lot of unfair rankings putting teams once again in the top 5, top 10 that could barely get out of a game that Syracuse convincingly can win, and or lost in a game against a conference that wasn't given a lot of respect and Syracuse beat them, I believe a 2-0 Syracuse this season, in my opinion, should be ranked bare minimum number 25. I've given you my take. I've given you my thoughts. Your rebuttal, your agreement, what say you?
I can agree and disagree,
Okay.
and not in a way that is disagreeing, ultimately. No, so yeah, no, you make very very valid points. But yeah, it's a new staff and everything, but our history precedes us. Precedes us.
Yeah.
We started out 3-0, 4-0. And there was a buzz, but we're playing cream puff team, and so that may factor into it. But I think ultimately we'll get in there, and when we get in there, it'll be a bigger jump. We just got to focus on the next game and the next game, and then let it keep building. And we'll be in there. We'll be in there eventually. So it's good for. It's good for motivation, and it's good to keep the distractions away. You don't want to get in there too early. We want to earn it. Yeah. And just realistically, you're not going to earn it in 2 games. And I'm sure those guys aren't thinking about it. It's mostly the fans want to see us in there, and and I'm sure Fran and the staff do too. But that's not their work. That's not what we're focused. We're focused on the postseason, and continually getting better. So I see it both ways, and we'll definitely eventually be in there.
I like that answer. I can appreciate that. Duke, you played defensive end, the edge that we speak about these days. What have you seen from Fadil Diggs, who has been asked to be a D end? And in the absence due to injury of Marlowe Wax Jr., was seen against Georgia Tech in the middle of the defense, standing upright, looking at the offensive line. And I thought to myself, as soon as he was seen over there and number 10 is in the middle of the defense, I went, oh, y'all are gonna have some hell today. So I'd love to get your thoughts on Fadil Diggs and what the Texas A&M transfer does for Syracuse's defense.
Oh man, I love that kid. Oh man, he's fun to watch. Plays with extreme violence. He reminds me of Micah Parsons. And, now seeing his versatility, but I always favor the edge. I like him rushing the passer, but the way he was destroying the inside lineman coming from that linebacker position was crazy too. I just want him to stay on the field as much as possible. There was a time where I caught on the Ohio game late. He wasn't in there. I'm like, man, where is this dude at? Put him in the game. So when he come in the game, he makes the play.
Yeah.
I was like, keep him in a game. He's definitely a game changer. Definitely a game changer. And he'll probably be running into some adversity here now because they'll be sending a whole bunch of people at him. But that's good. It'll free up other guys. But yeah, he's a hell of a player, man. Hell of a player.
And you talk about you favor rushing the passer, doing what you did at D end. Dennis Jacquez Jr., a guy who was recruited by Fran before. He's a Jersey guy. What do you think about Dennis Jacquez Jr. on the other side of Fadil on this defensive line for Syracuse, number 11?
He's coming along too. He's coming along too, taking advantage of the attention they're paying to Fadil. But with him, he just has to get a little more pressure, and take advantage of those one-on-ones that he's going to get. And man, hey, and that's going to make our DBs even better. with the pressure that they're generating. And then that's huge. That was big when, Dwight and I were, rushing the edge, and we knew the importance of the synergy between us and the guys, on the outside. And, we really made an effort to, help each other out.
You mentioned Dwight Freeney. I had the opportunity last year to speak with him when he had been inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and since then got inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and they retired his jersey at the Georgia Tech game. And for once in recent history, a Syracuse player got their jersey retired in a game that Syracuse didn't lose. So seeing that happen, that's a little stat to remember. But put in your feather cap. But Dwight Freeney, I got to speak with him again, and you talk about you're on one side, he's on the other, and the things that you did together. To think about that, to those that don't know, to those that didn't see it, to those that aren't thinking about it, you and Dwight on the field together is not fair to other teams. And I've had the opportunity to get to know you, to spend time with you, and to build a friendship. When I talked with Dwight this past week for the second time, I said I'm going to do the same thing that I always do. I'm going to, more than asking questions, more than the media press conference, whatever, is that I want to build relationships, as you know. And so I went up to him like I did last year. And when everybody was done and the media was dispersing, I was like, I'm shaking his hand. I'm saying hello. He turned, he saw me, big smile. And I put my hand out and he said, my man. So tell me about Mr. Freeney, as I appreciate my connection to you and look to build one with Dwight as well. What do you love about Dwight Freeney, the player that you played with? But more importantly, also, what do you love about Dwight Freeney, the person?
Man, I mean, that's my guy, man. I was, honored to be able to, go see him and get inducted to the Hall of Fame with my son, and he invited me there. Dwight, that's my guy. He's a good dude, man. Just a real, down to earth, humble guy. Funny, can be a little quirky at times, but just a good dude, man. And we just really, just love playing with each other. Just feeding off each other. Taking advantage, like I was talking about. Number 11 doing. We just enjoyed, playing against each other. We even had our, summer jobs, while we were up there, and just all around, just good, genuine dude. Come from a really good family, and just super proud of everything he's accomplished, man.
You said you had even summer jobs together. What was the job, and did you guys compete in that too?
Oh, well, yeah. So we were working with where was it? The YMCA. Actually, it was me, him, and Pearl Washington. We worked with the Syracuse. Their summer camps. We were counselors there, and yeah, of course we were competing because we were playing games with the kids. So we always wanted to whether kickball, dodgeball, whatever we were competing.
Before I let you go, Duke, to take a look at this team this season and the transfer portal and what Fran Brown and his staff have done with that. The starting quarterback of Syracuse, a transfer from Ohio State, Kyle McCord, backing up LaQuint Allen Jr. at running back, a transfer from Washington, Will Nixon. Looking at wide receiver, Zeed Haynes, a transfer from Georgia, as well as Jackson Meeks, a transfer teammate from Georgia. Left tackle, Demetrius Weatherspoon, a transfer. Right tackle, Savion Washington, a transfer. Fadil Diggs at D end, a transfer. Defensive tackle, Tank Wilson, a transfer. And cornerback, Clarence Lewis, a transfer. Deuce Chestnut transferring back to Syracuse from LSU, going from corner to free safety. So many names on here, and I'm
Yeah.
naming starters or guys that we've seen on the field backing up like Will Nixon.
Right.
To know that this team, I know it's early on and they're 2-0, but to see what you've seen from this team on tape, how extreme, how important to you on a scale from 1 to 10 has the transfer portal been in the transformation of Syracuse?
Oh man, it's been huge. Clearly, and that's just a testament to Fran and his staff. Fran is an unbelievable recruiter, and but above that, with recruiting, it comes a genuineness to allow for a kid to trust you in a short period of time, and hearing a lot of different voices. And again, that's another thing I learned while going through this recruiting with my son is there's recruiting, and then there's recruiting with forming a genuine connection.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard to do, but so it's a gift when you have it, and he definitely has that. His staff has that, and they're good. They're great coaches too, right? Because you have to bring in these new kids and get them acclimated to the program, and you have to get them bought into your culture, right? Because otherwise you're just bringing a bunch of mercenaries in. It could be it could be bad too. It could go the other way. But he definitely has a pulse on on the kids that he's bringing in there, and he has a great ability to connect with them, to get them acclimated, ingratiated with the program, and and maximizing their ability. And he's doing an unbelievable job in that. And you can see you saw a part of it coming from that the Ohio game going into the Georgia Tech game, where we gave up a whole bunch of yards rushing, right? And Georgia Tech's a running team. I was like, dang man, this is gonna be tough, because I wasn't sure, I wasn't really familiar, with the backups, but they made the corrections, whatever and emphasized, we're stopping this, and then the rest flowed, and they bought in right away.
Yeah.
And that's rare. Usually it's it's a little it's a little hairy early on, when you get in those nut cutting times, early in the season, like, because you're typically building up to those. Yeah. But we had one early on, and they responded, and that's a testament to Fran and the staff. So I would say, yeah, I like the transfer portal when it's done right like that.
Yeah, well, and like you said, it's about you put it in here. It's about building relationships. It's about being honest with the kids. There's something to be said about. I started to right when Fran got hired. I made it a point to try to get to know him and to spend some time with him. I had the opportunity down in Boca, as almost none of the media from Syracuse traveled to Boca. I have to make that be known in a world where, media lies a lot. There was almost no one there. There was nobody there from what would be considered the main outlets, for the most part, outside of one person. I was the oldest person there in the media. So looking on that down in Boca Raton, to the 30 or 40 people that talked about the game and used quotes and said different things, I'd like people to know that there was maybe 4 or 5 of us there. And I got to speak with Fran. I got to speak with Elijah Robinson, the D coordinator. The beautiful thing, and I want to thank you for this, and not just you, but all of the Orange alumni, is when I was going down to Boca, I said, I'd like to do a show. I'd like to broadcast. And one of my listeners that I had never met before, shout out to Alan, he was like, hey man, there's a couple places down here. I'd love you to talk to O'Brien's. I go and talk to O'Brien's. It's down the road from the stadium, not too far away. I end up doing 2 days of shows there. I call alumni, and they get themselves wherever they had to drive from, whether they were there or they had to drive down there. The alumni, as always, at Syracuse were great. Came down, did 2 days of shows with me, and then Corey Bowen said, he was like, "Hey man, you gotta come to our orange tailgate." He said, "You're part of the family. You're part of the alumni." I showed up. Fran was there. Elijah Robinson were there. And if you did not know these gentlemen going into it, Elijah looked like the dad of a player. He was just kind of hanging out at the barbecue, doing his thing.
Yeah.
And then you go and see Fran, and Fran is in the middle of everybody wearing a Syracuse jersey, and he's just like he's like mapping out a play in front of you. He's breaking down a scheme, and I'm thinking to myself, I've never seen in recent history a Syracuse coach that is amongst everyone, and he was going to a group of people, talking with them, not just shake hands, "Hey, how you doing?" and walk away, "Give me money." He was talking for 20 minutes. Then he goes over here for 15 minutes. Then he goes over here for 35 minutes. Then he goes over, and they're just making their rounds, and they were approachable, and I got to build a relationship with him. Everything that I've heard from people that have been around him is he's a man of his word. He is who he says he is. He's honest. He keeps his word. Him and I have talked about God. We have talked about things that are important to us. And I would just love to get your thoughts on your impression of Fran, if you've gotten to meet him, if you've gotten to talk with him, and just what your take is on the fact that not only is he speaking to alumni, but I saw firsthand with my own eyes down in Boca that, and he didn't have to go there. He wasn't the coach at that time. He was down in Boca, literally amidst a sea of people, doing everything, like just literally making sure that every single person had a few minutes with him.
Yeah. So I met Fran the previous spring, because while I was at Georgia, he was the one recruiting my son. So we spoke, and this is before even the Syracuse was even a thing where he was even being. I don't even think the coach was gone yet. But so we were talking there, and he was telling me from his side, right away, I knew he's from, the type of neighborhood I'm from. So, we connect, we connect on that. So, that breaks down, all barriers. You just, get to talking. So I'm like, of course I'm asking me, Donovan, Camden legend. Of course I know Donovan. That was my mentor, the Donovan Darius. And, so, we were talking, connecting on that. And then, a few months later, he gets the Syracuse job. I'm like, oh shit, I got friends. Now let me hit him up. So I called him, congratulating him the day he, they announced it. And then, down at the bowl game, got to talk to him, a lot more, get to know him a lot more. And everything you said is, is true. Just observing him, as I was, just him, would like work the crowd, like fit right in, him and Elijah, and I think Nick was there too.
Yeah.
And they're just like real people. They're the people that I'm comfortable around, because I grew up, with guys like that, speak the same language, have the same approach, got the new school, old school approach to football, fresh blood, new eyes, but still know that grittiness and that dog is what you need in order to compete, and to get, and get better. And, just, off his personality is one where, I know he's going to be, he's a hard rock. He's going to, and that's going to be the identity of the team. And that's what we needed. Somebody to bring that toughness back and that accountability, but also knowing the value of alumni, guys like, me, Corey and those guys that, were at Syracuse in those successful days, and, wanting and knowing that that's what made us successful. Those tough teams, to fight. And we had an identity that, in games that going into games, schools know that, hey, Syracuse is going to bring it today.
Yeah.
And that was lost. And I feel like that's coming back. I see it early and it's only going to build. So, and that's hard too, to be able to, get your message, your identity to a new team so soon. And again, I already see it. And that's hard. And that takes a special person, man, and he's doing it. So my take on I love Fran, man. I love what he's doing.
What was your first impression of him when he was recruiting Riley when he was at Georgia?
He seemed like an intense dude. It seemed like intense. It probably intimidates most people, because he's a pretty intense dude. But that's what I want for my kid. I don't want my son being coached by no softies. Somebody's gonna just like, oh, you're good, and blow smoke up his behind. He didn't seem like he's that coach. He demands the best and the most out of his kids, and that's what I took from him. Even he wouldn't have been his position coach, but knowing that they had guys like that on staff, what was encouraging. So yeah, my first impression was I like this guy.
Final note here from Duke.
But I have affinity for any guys from up north though.
Yeah.
That's home, especially being here in Texas.
Yeah, no, and a lot of respect for it. We're gritty. So Duke Pettijohn here, Syracuse Orange alum, speaking on the 2024 season as well as the Fran Brown era. Final note here, Duke, for this conversation that always goes by way too fast. We've talked about a lot, but I love my time with you. My final question to you, your thoughts on Fran. I love that he did it. I didn't love that he did it in front of people in the media that I knew were going to twist his words. But I love that he stuck up for Syracuse. He stuck up for the Orange S when he said that, this Georgia Tech team and this coach, that he took it personal. That you came in here thinking we weren't going to be tough. You thought we were going to play soft or whatever. The fact that he said, I took this personal. I took personal the things that were said, and that he wanted to have a tough game from 12-4. And I was like, all right, bet. So this is what we're going to do. What are your thoughts on the fact that he publicly came out and said, this should essentially show, like he said, from here on out, whoever plays us, just be quiet. Don't give me something to use.
I reposted it because I loved it. I loved it, right? Because come on, we're playing a sport. There's no softies. There's no there's you're not just gonna say stuff and we not respond. Especially coming up how we came up. That's you gotta man up and stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do a lot of talking. This is just a few words to understand where I'm coming from and be prepared for that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think, anyone who's thought, it was a bad thing, that's weird. Because one, it's a sport, right? If you coming at me, just know, win, lose, or draw, you're gonna know you were in a fight, right? And that's what he's bringing back. Ain't no cream puff. Just because I just got here don't mean you're just gonna walk all over me, or I'm just gonna have this crazy reverence for you because I have no experience with you. You have no experience with me, so be quiet until after we go through things. So in doing that, that's gonna open the door for complacency, for whoever's saying that. Or underestimating us here going forward. So a smart coach won't talk. A smart coach will, see how we play, see how we improve, from game to game, from competition to greater competition, and prepare accordingly, because we're not just going to lay down. And we're going to, come into the game with the idea like, hey, you put the uniform on just like me, and we're going to battle and see, and the best man's going to win. And he knows his team. He knows what they have, like in them. He knows the fight that they have, and they're never going to lay down for nobody. So yeah, I'm going to be confident in that. And your coach saying that only breeds more confidence. And believe for anyone who's, doubting themselves. There's a guy who just came up and had the feeling for an injury, and it has to play now. That's going to give him a confidence knowing that my coach got my back. So whatever he's asking of me, I'm giving him that and more, because I know he's got my back. And that's what great coaches do. And, he's on his way to being a great coach. Not to talk about it. We're going to go out here and show you.
Yeah. No, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was nice to hear.
Too.
And he told me in our one-on-one sit down in his office when we got to have that conversation, we were sitting on the couch and we had the orange S there, and he said it's all for that block S. Like, I want to put that block S back on the map. He said that to me well before fall camp or any of that started. And then, here we are. He's saying it again.
Yeah, and he said it, at Boca, said it on the conference call, and I feel it, man. I feel it, and like I said, it's he sounds like me. He sounds like how I how I feel, how I talk to kids I coach, and and want to get the best out of them and relate to them, and kids are like gravitating to that, man. Because again, it's genuine. It's not just no, fluff, tough talk. He lived it and continues to live it, and he knows that's the best way to be successful in this game.
Amen to that. So, good stuff. A lot of positivity. A lot of good things coming. Duke Pettijohn.
Oh, one more thing that I do love that he's done is, I think I've probably been back up there 3-4 times, and I can't even tell you if I spoke to the former head coach.
Yeah.
So and I thought that was kind of weird, and I'm not taking it anyway. But the fact that he's reaching out and involving alumni from way back and embracing them, tells me and makes me believe in his vision, for the program, because that the importance of that. And having guys, older guys come back, pour into the newer guys to reestablish that, tradition and that legacy, and gives us something to, be proud about.
Yeah.
And we've years past felt kind of alienated, and it was hard to root for the team when when times got tough, because the head coach wasn't really, ingratiating himself with, with the former players, and we didn't feel like we had a voice. And now, it's completely different, man. And that's also a thing that was needed, and I'm glad he's brought back and embraced that.
Yeah, you and I and the alumni in general have talked about how
we sure did.
How it made no sense.
Yeah, it was weird.
That Greg Robinson, may he rest in peace, Doug Marone, who is an alum, I know Scott built some inroads, and then Dino nothing. And it just didn't make any sense to me. I said, if you're trying to sell toothpaste and saying that it whitens teeth, do you sell is it easier or harder to sell toothpaste when you have the people that use the toothpaste and their teeth got whiter that want to talk about how their teeth are whiter with the toothpaste, but you're not letting them talk? And it didn't make any sense. And what broke my heart, there was many, but two things that I remember vividly is when somebody came on my show, one of the alumni came on the show, and he said, Dan, you have given us a voice. You have given us a place to speak our mind and to talk about this. Like, you help us to be heard. You know, you help because they didn't feel like they were being heard. The second one that really got me is when I was at an alumni like barbecue kind of thing after the game, and they were in one of the lots, and they said, "We feel love here together at this picnic," and they turned and they pointed to the dome and they said, "We don't even feel welcome there anymore."
Nope.
And
we didn't. Yeah, which is sad.
But now it's different, right? Now it's on to brighter and greener
totally,
pastures.
Yeah, off the rip, man. I mean, like shit. Before he even, moved in, he was, reaching out to us, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I like that. I get behind this guy.
So with that being said, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, and it continues.
So with that being said, Mr. Pettijohn here, Duke Pettijohn, Syracuse Orange defensive end, alum, as also NFL and AFL, and as he states, an avid pickleballer with a rating of 3.44. Speaking on the 2024-25 season in the Fran Brown era, Duke, as always, I appreciate you. And
anytime, Dan.
More than anything else, as you know, I am grateful. And the child inside of me growing up watching all of y'all play, I can honestly say this to you as I always think this. I cannot believe that I'm friends with the people that helped to build my city up. So you know that your friendship with me means more to me than I could tell you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate the platform. I appreciate your love for the program, man. It's awesome to see, man, and for you to keep the flame alive and keeping the faith, man, because things are going to turn around, and they're starting to, and I would like to say you were an integral part of that as well. I appreciate you for that.
Oh, I don't know how to respond to those words except for God is great and thank you. So, give my best to your family. And tell Riley that he owes me an interview. All right.
I will. Yeah, we'll be back on with you.
All right, sounds good, dude. Well, listen, Be safe. Have a good day, and thank you as always for being so candid, so open, and so giving with your time. And like I said, more than anything else, thank you for being a friend.
For sure, man. Thank you, Dan. You have a good one, man.
You too. Take care.
All right, bye.
See you. God bless. That coming from Duke Pettijohn here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We'll take a step aside. I know that y'all are like, Dan, I'm hungry for some fantasy football. But we had good conversations going on this morning, and you don't interrupt a good conversation. So if you watched the debate last night, they'll interrupt any conversation. But we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there was something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There's a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience, it's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really changed the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I want to thank my fantastic guests that have been featured on today's broadcast from the Moyne Dolphins women's golf team. Big time thanks to Riley Stuver of Webster, New York, and Mia Avotins from Liverpool, New York, and a big time thanks to Syracuse Orange defensive end alum and an alum of the NFL and AFL and an avid pickleballer now, Duke Pettijohn. So a lot of great stuff coming up. Fantasy football, as you know, on Wednesdays we split the video. So instead of having the Wake Up Call episode Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The video runs all the way through, and the audio runs all the way through. On Wednesdays, we cut it so our fantasy football owners can get to their information quickly and efficiently, especially when you're trying to set your lineup with maybe an hour or maybe 10 minutes before. So we're going to go ahead and end this video so we can start our fantasy football video. For those of you on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, we'll be back momentarily. For those of you on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, we will also be back on audio in just a moment. So stay with us here.